our wonderful session speakers, which are going to share more greening tips and insider information and books. And just wait, I don't even do it justice by saying that. So let me share my screen. Okay. Okay. And oh, yeah, just the first 40 seconds is my introduction, and it's a black screen. So please kind of be aware that I'm setting the expectations. It's not beautiful for the first 40 seconds.
Hello, everybody. We're at the Powerhouse Smart Luxury Conference, day one, and I am so excited to introduce you to these two next incredible ladies. One is my new friend, Reilly. She's the co-founder of WestEdge Design Fair. I can't wait for us to be face-to-face to go to that in Santa Monica again, hopefully in 2021. And her special guest, who I just met, and I'm thrilled to have here at our luxury conference, Robin Wilson. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and they've got some incredible hot tips for us today. So enjoy. Take it away, Megan and Robin.
Thank you, Wendy. It's great to be here. It's great to be involved. We're so thrilled that WestEdge is now a partner of Powerhouse Smart Luxury Conference. So thank you for having us. Hi, Robin. Great to see you again.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. As Wendy mentioned, I am the co-founder and owner of WestEdge Design Fair, which is a trade show that happens normally every fall here in Los Angeles. We will be back, hopefully, at the Barker Hangar in October of 2021. And I have had the privilege and honor with Robin in my past life when I lived in New York, and also as part of our WestEdge programming. So Robin, I'll give a little intro, unless you want to. I'll have to read it because you're so esteemed and you've got so many great things on your resume. But Robin Wilson is an eco-friendly expert interior designer, entrepreneur, and best-selling author. We're going to talk about this great book shortly. As an entrepreneur, Robin has used her insight to capture a segment of the $60 billion market for asthma-friendly healthy spaces. Her licensed brand, Robin Wilson Home, has sold over 85 million wholesale to consumers, and her recent book, Clean Design, Wellness for Your Lifestyle, won over 15 book awards and is a bestseller on Amazon and Kindle books. It really guides consumers to simple changes to create healthy living spaces. Robin is also the first woman to license her name to eco-friendly kitchen cabinetry, which was sold by over 400 independent kitchen retailers. And she's the second Black woman to have a line at Bed Bath & Beyond, which is just huge. So congratulations on that. She has built her lifestyle brand from zero to an authentic entrepreneurial vision based on simple solutions to create eco-friendly, sustainable, hypoallergenic spaces. So we're so thrilled to have you here and be talking about this really important topic, especially as we're all spending so much time at home these days. It's even more important that our spaces are healthy and conducive to wellness and joy overall. So thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. And, we are totally on point right now with this pandemic. We are home. We do spend 1/3 of our life sleeping. So our bedrooms need to be clean. Our kitchens need to be clean. And we need to make sure that our bodies are not inflamed. And that means clean design home protocols and getting hypoallergenic products in case you do have allergies or asthma, which, as I told you, Megan, 1 in 4 people suffer. That's over 60 million Americans.
Yeah, and I think that with this pandemic, the shift in the vision of people really recognizing how important it is to make their homes not only functional but healthy, has definitely elevated because of everyone spending time at home and wanting to make their spaces as good as they can be. So, Robin, I know you have a personal history with asthma and health-related issues. So maybe you can give a little bit of background on how you started your journey into this industry and how those personal issues have played a role in that.
Well, thank you for that question. I grew up in Austin, Texas, and the running joke in my family was that I was wheezing and sneezing inside and wheezing and sneezing outside. So that was during the era of shag carpet, smokers smoking inside, and I would call it the processed food diet. And so wheezing and sneezing, then you go outside and there's pollen everywhere because Texas blooms year round most of the time. And so I was very fortunate. And I look back now at this book called The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell.
Mhm.
He talks about the 10,000 hours you need to really be an expert on your subject. And guess what? I grew up in Austin, Texas. We had a hippie doctor, or a holistic doctor, as he was called. And he said, you can raise a strong child or you can raise a child on strong medicine. His view was that your diet needs to change. Your indoor air pathogens or allergic triggers need to change. And most importantly, you need to get up off the couch and do some exercise so your lungs get strong, so they're strong for the rest of your life. Now, there were other doctors that might have said, keep everything as is, but take this very strong steroid medication. I will simply say that when I went back to speak recently to some people I went to high school with who were on that regimen, they show their age a little bit more than I do. And we won't talk about age, by the way. But I will say this. If you think about it, you grow up in Austin, Whole Foods and Wheatsville Co-op are founded. So organic food becomes the norm. That's the beginning of the 10,000 hours. The hippie doctor says, take out that shag carpet and put in hardwood floors and tile and put rugs down that you can clean on a regular basis. And in our case, put the pet outside so that you're not getting pet dander issues. Drink tons of water, and on and on. All the things that we do today, including leaving shoes at the front door, people thought my mother was crazy. They were just like, oh, we have to take our shoes off, and so now, if you can imagine, that foundation of health was formed definitely more than 10,000 hours ago. But most importantly, it has made me an expert on the issues that are real. It's not from a book. I've been in the hospital. I've had an anaphylactic reaction. I've awakened wheezing and sneezing. I've tossed and turned. And so some of the tips that you read about in our book, Clean Design, Wellness for Your Lifestyle, or when I speak to people, they come from true experience and authenticity.
Well, you're so fortunate. It sounds like you obviously had great parents who did their homework and really took it upon themselves to study up and learn how to help you. So that's wonderful. And obviously it's carried through your career. I think you were, when we talk about eco-conscious living and eco-conscious environments, you've been at the forefront of that since I've known you, before that term was even a term.
That's true.
So,
I remember doing an interview in 2005 and maybe it was 2006. And the reporter said, "You're the green queen." And I was like, huh? And I said, sure, I like money, but really I'm the eco-conscious, eco-friendly girl, because I had never heard that term before. He sort of ambushed me with that. And then, as you know, the green became a term many people used. And in fact, greenwashing became a big deal. But what I have always consistently said is we have to recognize that our indoor air quality can be 8 times worse than our outdoor air quality. Think about it. You're spraying a chemical in your kitchen. You're spraying a chemical in your bathroom. You have all sorts of cooking fumes. And then there are people who think you can spray your couch clean. The reality is clean is clean. Wash the slip cover. Wash your bed linens. And so it's funny when you ask someone, this is the funniest question I ask someone, I'll say, when was the last time you washed or replaced your pillow? Inevitably, they scrunch up their face and they eyes get wide and they say, well, and I say, the average answer is 6 years. I said, that's like wearing dirty pajamas for 6 years. They're like, but I wash my pillowcase. I was like, yeah, but can you fold your pillow and will it stay in place? And they're like, well, yeah. And I'm like, guess what? That means it weighs more now than when you bought it. You've got drool, you've got dander, you've got any other number of substances there. And they're like, oh, and instantly we see a run on the sale of our pillows on our website. So it's been interesting, but when you give people simple tips and when you break it down, like the dirty pajamas, or gosh, if you change your pillow, you won't have bags under your eyes. Isn't that what happens when you go to a hotel and you sleep on a fresh pillow? And they're like, oh, I'm like, yeah, change your pillow.
Yeah. It is. It's simple once you kind of correlate and connect the dots and think about it in those terms that you just mentioned. And I I don't know if everyone can see, Clean Design. I've had this book for a while, but knowing that we were going to be having a chat was really a great opportunity for me to go back and peruse. And what I love, it's so beautifully laid out. It's so simple. And obviously beautiful pictures. I think people think about sometimes, sustainability and eco-friendly design maybe as, not as stylish or this, but this is beautiful. And it's so easy to digest the way you have broken it down. And first of all, clean design, how do you define clean design?
Well, we trademarked our brand, Clean Design Home, last year. We now have an online website called Clean Design Home where people can go shopping for pillows and comforters and sheets. But I define clean design in general as the 4 principles: eco-friendly, recyclable, reusable, sustainable, hypoallergenic. Those are all buzzwords, but the bottom line is, if you think about your home as an ecosystem, that means what goes in and what goes out. It might mean that what goes out are the toxins that you accidentally bring into your home when you walk on a sidewalk, let's say in New York City, and then you track that dirt around your apartment. I say simply take your shoes off at the front door, have a landing space for that. Clean design also means that you don't do extra work. Now, most people are like, I have to do extra work. I'm not going to stay as clean. And I'm like, no. How many of us clean the tabletop and the couch, and then we clean the ceiling fan? Or we clean the floor where our shoes are in the closet, and then we clean the shelves. Start at the top, work your way down. So it's just simple tips and tricks. And then I think, Megan, one of the things that I've always said to people, and they love this tip, is I say Coca-Cola can clean that ring that forms around your toilet. You just pour it in overnight, next day, slight brush, and that ring is going to be gone. You might have to do it a couple of days. If you want to be sustainable and not throw away that, as we all know, we've been baking a lot. So you might have that little grime that's in the corner in your pot or pan or baking sheet doesn't look as fresh as it once did. You can pour baking soda in that baking sheet, put some hydrogen peroxide in, it turns into a paste, and let it sit for about 4 or 5 hours. Scrub it. You're going to have a brand new pot or pan. You didn't have to throw it away and buy a new one. Wow. Another simple tip. How many people have children who maybe accidentally crayon on the walls? And what we do as parents is we get some toxic cleanser at the child's nose level. It's not ours because we're standing way up here. And guess what? That child is smelling that chemical. Instead, did you know toothpaste can clean crayon off the walls? And so it's not going to take the paint off. Might be a little bit of elbow grease, but guess what? Your child's not smelling a toxic chemical. So these are just simple, clean design tips. And the book, as you know, is organized by what you need. So it's not to be read cover to cover or it feels repetitive. If you need to learn about nursery things, read the nursery chapter. If you need to learn about cleaning, read the cleaning chapter. And all those tips that I just shared with you are in the cleaning chapter, just so you know. One other thing that I think you and I have talked about, Megan, is that people don't realize they might be allergic to certain pollens, whether it's grass pollen or birch pollen, and there's actually a section in the environmental or the exterior of your home. And it talks about, I think it's on page 107, and it talks about if you have allergies to grass pollen, and then you come inside and you eat a certain fruit or vegetable, they share the same profile. And that means, guess what's going to happen? You're going to come in and you're going to feel miserable. Versus if you know that they share that profile, you might avoid that fruit or that vegetable that week and let your body calm down the inflammation.
Really interesting. I love the fact that you've laid out the book in a couple different ways, but room by room, as you were entering a home, and you gave great tips on the entrance and taking your shoes off and those sort of easy things you can do right at the door. I know now so many people are working from home, having home offices. And I think, the two spaces, at least that I'm spending most of my time at home, obviously the bedroom, we hear that you spend almost a third of your life in your bedroom. And now with the home office, being in front of your computer for hours a day at your home desk. Do you have any suggestions or tips for those two areas?
Yes, and when you work in an office, they have certain filtration systems that, power the air through the space. I think there's like probably 8 or 10 exchanges of air every hour. In your home, however, we hermetically seal ourselves in, right? We have great insulation, we hope. We keep our windows closed. And guess what? That laser printer that you have, it's emitting VOCs. That means volatile organic compounds. They're man-made compounds that you can't get rid of in our daily life, but certainly you need to open the windows or power a fan in that space at least once a week so that you get the air stirred up and get it out if you open the windows. That's a simple one, but all electronics seem to attract dust. I'm sure you've seen that.
Yeah.
And you don't want to develop allergies because there's such a load of dust in your space. So I recommend getting a microstatic cloth or a mitt, or sometimes there are the little, I won't name any brands, but you know what I'm talking about, and rub it along the walls, rub it in the areas where your electronics are, and get rid of that dust. I think that's really important. And then the third thing, most people don't think about this, and I don't want to gross you out too much, but maybe people will pay attention. Your keyboard is dirty, just like your phone is really dirty. And your remote control at a hotel is one of the dirtiest things. I recommend that every once in a while, whether it's an alcohol swab or hydrogen peroxide or something, some type of cleaner should be used on your keyboard, your phone, because you could keep reinfecting yourself, if that makes sense. And potentially putting your body at a constant state of inflammation so that if you do get COVID or any other disease, your body's already, here, and you need it to be lower in its state so that you can really fight something.
Yeah, that's something, I notice all the time, how quickly your workspace gets dusty and dirty. And it's just incredible how that kind of accumulates.
Yes. And I also, we all know that paper is, how do you say this? Paper can accumulate. I have about 4 inches on my desk that I don't want to show anybody, but I'll say this. You need to think about paper as a dust catcher. And also, if you have books in your library, as you see behind me, if you don't dust them off, guess what? At some point, bacteria, mold, those, if there's moisture in the air, you could actually create a mold situation or a dust situation. So you need to dust your books every once in a while and make sure that you move them about so that something can't just start to, grow in there. And I say that deliberately because if you've been, I call it the old library smell, that's mold. And most people don't think about that. So definitely keep 1 or 2 books by your bedside, but don't let your bedroom be the place where you keep your books. That's a dusty place, a dust catcher.
Got it.
Now, one other thing, I want to throw this out, and and I know, I'll call it the Aunt Mildred. I hope no one's named Mildred because they might get mad at me. But the drapes that you saw at her home at Forever and Ever, well, we're all home right now. And we haven't thought about the fact that maybe it's a good time to take down the drapes and either wash them or replace them because they're a significant dust catcher. If you can't vacuum them or you can't get them clean, you might want to consider a different option.
As I have my drapes, now I'm thinking, definitely noted, well noted. Robin, you mentioned some household cleaning supplies, things that we probably all have on hand and haven't really thought of using in the ways that you mentioned. But can we talk a little bit more about the kitchen? We're all cooking more, using our kitchens more. And I know appliances and other larger elements of the kitchen also have an impact when it comes to sustainability and eco-friendliness. What are some of your suggestions for kitchens?
I recommend Energy Star appliances across the board. First of all, they are more energy efficient, which affects the global ecosystem. Second, it will affect your pocketbook because they're going to run more efficiently, so you'll use less load in your home. I also recommend if you do have a water filtration system, with your refrigerator, an ice maker, or even a water dispenser, you need to change that filter every once in a while. Most people don't think about that, but at least every 6 months, just like you would an air filter for your air conditioning system. And another thing is underneath some refrigerators, there's actually a tray that collects water, runoff water, and people don't change that. And that can be a mold collector. So those are just some simple things that you can think about. But what's really, really important for all of us, I think, in our homes, especially in your kitchen, is think about the cleanser that you're using on your countertop. You don't want to be in a situation where you're stripping if you have stone, you're using maybe a different type of cleaner that actually hurts the stone. So make sure you have the right cleaner, but also seal that countertop if you have stone, if you have concrete, because while they look great and been a great trend, they do develop fissures because they're natural material. And so granite, marble, and stone need to be sealed every once in a while. Otherwise, again, you'll have a fissure in there that could actually grow bacteria. One of the things that I gave my friends recently for COVID specifically is I gave them a set of cutting boards, one that they would use for their fruit, one they would use for their chicken and meat, and one they would use for bread. And so 3 different cutting boards so that, again, you don't have the cross-contamination. I think that's another thing we can also think about in our kitchens.
Yeah, that makes a lot of logical sense. So I'm in Southern California. I'm fortunate to be able to spend a lot of time outside, and outdoor living has always been a big thing that we promote at WestEdge because of our environment here. I know other people in other parts of the country are not as fortunate to be able to use their outdoor space year round. So, aerating your home, keeping the windows open, those are great ideas to kind of try to bring some natural fresh air in. But when you can use your outdoor space, let's talk a little bit about how to make sure your outdoor living environment is also healthy, especially when you mentioned pollens and all the stuff that's in the air that might be a trigger for a lot of people. What can people do about their patios or outdoor spaces?
Well, we can't eliminate pollen. So don't, some people are like, can we just have no pollen? I'm like, no, because you would have no food. So the thing that you can do, however, is if you have a screened in porch, maybe, if you, when you do come in, wash your hair immediately, or at least spritz it down, because that pollen can then come into your home. Do the same with your animal. Maybe, again, just rub them down a little bit. The other thing I think that we have to remember is a lot of people with this pandemic have watched nature come back. Now, I actually watched a colony of honeybees. I watched a colony of, what do you call them? Ladybugs, and you're seeing nature. And so there's a certain disruption that has occurred that has allowed us all to slow down just a little bit and take it in. And I think that, we have to also have a moment where we also remember bees pollinate the food that we eat. We don't want to just kill them. You don't want to just spray them down just because you're in your garden, because they've always been in your garden. You were just at work.
Yeah.
Call the pest guy and maybe have him move the nest somewhere. I think we've got to be very conscious about how we treat nature in the future, because I've understood even in California, there have been collapse of bee colonies, and those bees are why Southern California and Texas and other places are really the garden for the rest of the country.
Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating when you really start to learn about bees, how they are the lifeblood of everything, really.
Yes. Yes. There's a movie I'd love for everyone to see if you have a chance. It's called Kiss the Ground. Woody Harrelson's involved. I believe Cory Booker and some others, luminaries, are involved in this particular movie. And what it talks about is the biodiversity of fields versus the heavily fertilized fields. And it's a 90-minute Netflix view. It's amazing because they put 2 fields next to each other, one that's been heavily fertilized, the earth is just basically worthless because it's like the next dust bowl is on the horizon if we don't take notice of this. And then next to it is what I call the Lush biodiversity field, where they have had the cows, grazing. Maybe they quarter off the field and they say, okay, cows are going to graze here for a week. Okay, now you're going to go to another part of the field. So their droppings fertilize the field naturally. And then the bees come in and they do what they do, and it just becomes this whole ecosystem. Versus next to it is the heavily fertilized field. So you might have what looks like beautiful produce from the heavily fertilized field, but it has no nutrients. And then you come over to the other field, and what they show is an egg yolk from a chicken that's been fed certain grains that are, I'll just say, not healthy. Yeah. And then the other grains where they've been fed from the biodiversity field. And you see the difference in the egg yolk. That's what we're putting into ourselves. So please watch Kiss the Ground on Netflix. I hope it's still airing when this airs.
That's great. We'll definitely make a note of it and we'll put it in the comments as well. I feel like nutrition and food was almost the first thing to come about when you talk about organic living and healthy lifestyle. So I love the fact that it's translated into so many other industries now. And coming from Austin, like you said, where Whole Foods started, you being at the forefront, the book is clean design, and it's a great resource for, to go room by room or theme by theme. And you've talked a lot about easy ideas. These are simple solutions and just daily habits that you can really start implementing, to improve the air quality and the health quality of your space. You also touch on furniture selection, upholstery, resources that maybe are a little bit more involved if somebody is really doing a renovation or looking for appliances and things like that. So it really covers the gambit. It's a great resource.
From the foundation to the furnishings, exactly. And we tell people there's some resources I'd love to share as well. The Asthma and Allergy Foundation of America, AAFA.org, is a free not-for-profit resource where people can actually research various topics, whether it's food allergies, pollen allergies, and it's a great resource. I'm an unpaid ambassador, but I tell everybody about that organization because they do have real good information. And if they don't, they'll direct you if you give them a call. Another resource, if you're buying furniture, is the Sustainable Furnishings Council. I used to be on their board. I'm still an advocate of their organization because they hold manufacturers to a very high standard. One of the things we don't know is if a fire occurs in your house, you might not die from the fire, but you might die from the smoke. Meaning, if the couch catches on fire, there's so many toxins in some couches that you're going to die from the chemical smell from the smoke. And so I tell people you need to know what's in your furniture. And the SFC.org, or Sustainable Furnishings Council.org, they really hold manufacturers their feet to the fire. They say limit your packing materials. So you're not, just throwing away popcorns as we, so many people don't use any longer. Make sure that there's not formaldehyde-based adhesives in the furniture, because one of the things most people don't know is the two rooms that change temperature every day typically are your bathroom when you take a hot shower, or your kitchen when you cook because it heats up. Now imagine if they're formaldehyde-based glues, which is a known carcinogen, in the adhesives that hold that cabinetry together. Think about the Katrina trailers, that big scandal from years ago. And many of the people who stayed in those trailers did end up with some form of cancer. You don't know till 8 or 10 years later. So what's critically important is that we really remember what we put into ourselves, into our homes, and into the global environment with power usage, or throwing things into the landfill. The bookcase behind me, many of you can see, it's 10 feet long by 9 feet tall, and it's real wood. This is a moment of upcycling. I found This was at a wonderful store called Restoration Angel. Now, most people who have lots of money renovate a lot, and someone threw this out. They're like, we don't like it anymore. There were a couple of scratches on it, so I had to paint it white because there was no way to take it back to its original patina, at least that I knew. And because of COVID, I did it, right? And then I got my carpenter to come in one day and to set this up. Now, how much do you think this cost? It cost $300 because it's brown furniture and nobody wanted it. But I painted it white, and now everybody's like, oh, I want a bookcase like that. $300. So guess what? This could have gone into the landfill. And that's another thing that we need to think about. If it's perfectly good and all it takes is a coat of paint and you save it from the landfill, there's no off-gassing. And guess what? It's perfect for your space.
Yeah, I did the same thing with a buffet that I shortened the legs and made it into a bedroom dresser, you know, changing the knobs and kind of putting your own spin on it. And it's, you know, those pieces are so much better made. The quality, they last longer. And it's so much better, in my opinion, and obviously you feel the same, to upcycle rather than buy something that might fall apart within a year. So
exactly,
we've always been big proponents of the quality story, you know, over the disposable story.
That's right.
I think that's something that we've seen more and more with consumerism across the board during this pandemic. People really focusing more on quality rather than just getting stuff to have stuff.
That's right. That's right. And what you have to remember is, in this global pandemic, we've also seen people appreciate or recognize, they appreciate what they have or recognize that they need to upgrade it because they're stuck in that space. And so it could be lighting. Maybe you've ignored the fact that you have shadowy lighting and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm doing lots of Zooms. I need better lighting. You know, those are all things that we're starting to appreciate home a little bit more. And, you know, I know growing up, home was, you know, as a kid, if you think about it, you played at home, you played in your yard, you played in your backyard or with your friends. And there wasn't so much going out. Going out was a treat. You know, it is a moment for all of us to start remembering what's really important. And it's being happy within yourself. It's meditating. It's staying in good touch with your friends who really mean something and your family who means something to you, because, you know, it's all put it into close perspective that so many people, I mean, we've lost 3 people in my immediate family due to COVID. I think what we need to remember is you need to say hi today. You might not have tomorrow.
Yeah, so true. So true.
One last thing I think that you told me to bring up, and I will do this, is what's the best rule for pillows? And this is something people don't know. It's a rule of 3s, folks. So there's 3 layers of a pillow. Most people are like, huh? So you have the pillow itself, that's one. Then you have a zippered pillow cover that protects your pillow. And then you have the pillowcase. 3 layers. And the rule of 3s is you wash the pillowcase every week, of course, but every 3 weeks, wash that zippered pillowcase. Every 3 months, wash the pillow itself if it's a down alternative pillow. And if you haven't done all that, throw the pillow away after year 3 and get a fresh one.
Yeah, well, that's easy to remember. 3 and 3. So, and like I said, that pillow is with you 8 hours a day, so it better be in good shape.
Well, you know, the circles under our eyes, I tell people, I tell women, do you know the circles under your eyes are caused by a dirty pillow? It's like the next day they have a brand new pillow.
And that's such a less expensive alternative than eye creams and fancy other things. So it's simple solutions that people don't think about.
That's right.
I love that clean design. So, you know, you do list different resources and you've mentioned a couple of them today, but other ideas for products and really the quality of things, clean design, the website. Can you talk a little bit about that and the extension of the brand, which makes so much sense to let people know where they can find things that are vetted by experts like yourself?
Sure. So if you want to learn about me, go to robinwilsonhome.com. Hit the shop button. or go directly to cleandesignhome.com. It's a marketplace that we've created. Some of the products on there bear my name because I've licensed my name. Others are things that we vetted from other companies, and we are now becoming the clearinghouse and the trusted name brand because we tell everyone what you're going to get when you come to our website. It's a clean design home protocol. It's hypoallergenic, it's sustainable, it's eco-conscious, and most importantly, it's typically not toxic. And when I say typically, cleaners often have toxins in them. So I can't say it's not toxic, but it's non-toxic, meaning it's not as, there's certain things that when you open the door and it smells like a pine forest, maybe that's not really clean. It's just a chemical. So we're trying to take it to the next place where it's clean and it's not heavy fragrance.
It's a great resource. I've been on the site many times over the last few weeks, and I love to see, what you're offering, and
and it changes every single day. By the way, we add products. One of the things I will tell you that, Megan, this is the craziest thing. I will simply say, without any politics, okay, so this is not a political statement, but there's someone who is selling certain pillows. Guess what? We saw a huge spike in our orders because we don't just sell one pillow or two pillows. We sell a box of pillows. So you can get 6, 8, or 10 pillows at one time and fix your entire house. That has been something that I did not realize until we did this. We just had some clearance pillows. We said, let's just put them all together. That people are frustrated where they go to the stores and they don't know if the person before them touched the pillow, might have had COVID. And so they're like, can you just ship them direct to us? And we're like, sure. So we started shipping 6, 8, or 10 quantity direct to your home. Nobody's touched them. They're yours.
Yeah.
And people are really, really responding to that.
I bet. I mean, I think people are more comfortable shopping online now than they were a year ago and 2 years ago for that exact reason. So it's
true.
To know. Cleandesignhome.com is the place to go to really understand and specify things that talk to all these great ideas that you've shared with us today. So, Robin, I want to thank you again for joining us. It's always such a pleasure to see you and to chat with you and to get such great expertise when it comes to how we can all be creating healthier living spaces for ourselves.
Thank you. And I do hope to make it to Santa Monica again. I love your conference, WestEdge in LA.
I hope so. We always love having you. So put it on your calendar. I don't know. We might have some time for questions. So let's see. Wendy, do we have any time for some follow-up questions in case the...
Okay. Hello. Yeah. Hello, ladies. So that was absolutely awesome. We maybe have time for one follow-up question, and there's a lot of different fantastic comments in the chat. So we have all of Robin's email, websites and everything. That's fantastic. So I guess I would love to hear about what the prognosis is. I don't know if that's the right word, but for the WestEdge Design Fair in October. Do you have any dates in mind, Megan, that Robin will be there? And
we do. Yeah, we do. We are scheduled for October 21st through the 24th.
Okay.
We've traditionally always hosted our event in the fall. So we're well positioned vis-a-vis a lot of other events who have moved also to the fourth quarter. So we're hopeful. I think, like you said, Wendy, that with the vaccination rollout, we will be in a position to return to in-person events and welcome all of our clients and attendees back to WestEdge 2021. I know so many of our clients are very hungry to get back to engaging and conducting business and meeting new people and existing clients, in real life. So as are we.
absolutely, absolutely. And we will be there with Powerhouse Smart. We're going to have a lounge in the Barker hangar. And Robin, I can't wait to meet you in person. Everything I've learned from you has been just so helpful and so important, and you've changed my life already. So that's fantastic. And please continue the discussion in the Whova Q&A and ask questions, and you'll get to know Robin. She can she's here to meet you and to obviously grow her business and your business, and the same thing with Megan. And we'll see you ladies in the balance of the conference. Thank you so much for your time. Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Okay, wonderful. Okay, there we go.